Many of us may have noticed that there's yet another reason to wear a mask outside over the past 2 weeks: smoke and poor air quality. Wildfires are just one of the many ways that climate change impacts our region and our city. And because of the recent wildfires, we've actually received quite a few questions about global warming and climate change. We'll answer all of these questions on this episode of Ask the EnviroChallengers.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Ask the EnviroChallengers. I'm Gator.
And I'm Kate.
In this episode, we'll be answering the questions: how climate change affects Tacoma, what the City of Tacoma is doing to mitigate climate change, and what we can do to help.
But before we dive into our main topic, let's revisit last week's surprising question. Last week we learned about how we can turn our food scraps and yard waste into compost. But we were also asked, what do I do with a dead animal? Well, we actually checked in with the city's experts on composting, and we learned this. Yes, if your pet fish or backyard chicken passes away, you can put their remains in the food and yard waste cart to be composted. Well, now let's take a moment of silence to remember Mr. Fishy and Amelia Eggheart. How does climate change specifically impact us here in Tacoma? To understand how climate change can impact us right here in Tacoma, we need to first understand the basic concepts of global warming and climate change. So let's take a quick look at the science. Then we can talk about what the city and you can do to mitigate the impacts of climate change. So what is global warming? To put it simply, global warming means the Earth, our home, is getting hotter. Over the past 100 years or so, scientists have noticed a steady increase in the average temperature of our planet. But why is this happening? Well, actually, it has a lot to do with things that you and I do and use every day. Certain activities like driving a car, flying in a plane, and making all of our stuff in factories release greenhouse gases into Earth's atmosphere. Now, greenhouse gases trap heat in the atmosphere of our planet. Having some greenhouse gases in our atmosphere is a great thing. It helps to keep our planet warm enough for us to live here. But having too many greenhouse gases in our atmosphere can be a big problem. But global warming also leads to a much bigger and longer lasting problem called climate change.
But what is climate change? In order to understand climate change, we first have to understand the difference between weather and climate.
Weather is when it's sunny and hot or rainy and cold.
And it changes all the time. It can
Yep.
be hot, it can be cold like it is today. Climate is related to weather, but climate tells us what the weather is like over prolonged periods of time in a specific place. Over time, Washington's weather has been cool and wet, whereas places like Arizona are warm and dry. Why does that matter to us? Because climate change can affect this beautiful place in which we live.
In the not so distant future, Western Washington will experience lots of rain in the winter, which will cause flooding, and also in the summer droughts that could cause devastating wildfires.
This can impact the type of food we're able to grow in Washington, as well as the drinking water and availability of resources. Additionally, this can also affect what animals and plants are able to survive in our environment. Remember, everything we use requires natural resources. When we reduce how much stuff we use, we save valuable resources and reduce the amount of greenhouse gases that are released from extraction, production, and distribution.
The City of Tacoma is working hard to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from transportation, our main contributor to climate change. We are doing this through telecommuting, adding more bike lanes and sidewalks for a more bikeable and walkable city, installing EV charging stations throughout Tacoma, and making sure that we have a low or no emission vehicle fleet. The City of Tacoma is also focusing on carbon sequestration by planting trees throughout the city and providing residents with free or discounted trees through the Grit City Trees program and the Tree Coupon program. The Grid City Trees program has helped residents plant hundreds of trees since 2016. And the Tree Coupon program has helped nurseries increase their sales from just 300 trees in the 2017-2018 season to almost 3,000 trees in the 2018-2019 season. Most importantly, though, the city is making a great effort to address climate change with equity in mind. The city understands that climate change will impact some groups, especially marginalized and low-income groups, more than others. Because of this, we are using an equity index and equity toolkit to assess both our services and our environmental action plan, which includes strategies to mitigate climate change. This will help us make sure that we can prioritize getting services and assistance to people that need it the most.
So what can you do to help?
You can walk, you can use a bike, you can use a scooter, rollerblade, or even use an electric car if you feel like, I'm gonna ride an electric car. You can even dance. We can also plant trees to help the oxygen in air. Reduce, reuse, recycle, respect, responsible.
In short, we can consume less, we can use products longer, we can repair things that might seem broken but can be fixed.
And recycle.
And recycle.
One of the most important things you can do is to be an engaged citizen. Communicate with your representatives, let them know that action on climate change is important to you. Seek out candidates that believe in climate change, and always, always vote.
To wrap up our show, we'll end with one surprising question we received.
Do cow farts really contribute to climate change?
We'll answer this flatulence-related question and many more in our next episode.
Remember, we're here to answer your questions about the environment and sustainability in the City of Tacoma. If you do have a question, please email us at
EnviroChallenger@cityoftacoma.org.
For all of us at the City of Tacoma and for my daughter Scarlett, I'm Gator.
And I'm Kate.
And thank you for watching Ask the EnviroChallengers. We'll see you next time.
This can entice the pack of the...
It's not so easy, is it?